Hi there, I'm David Williams, bakery lecturer at Truro and Penwith College and representing Hospitality Table Cornwall. Today we're going to do a couple of quick decorations of simple birthday cakes. We're going to start off with two pieces of sponge, one yellow and one pink. Quick and easy. The yellow one we'll spread with a little bit of jam. Just the top because it's going on for flavour and to keep the cake moist. You can really spread this on with a knife or a palette knife, but we'll be quite generous with this. And this will open up the age-old debate on when you're making scones or scones, whichever you prefer, whether it's jam or cream first. I prefer just to get the contrast of the light sponge, then the jam, then the white cream, and then the pink sponge. Everyone to their own. So rather than try to put cream on that, which would be extremely messy, we'll bring over some simple buttercream, which I've flavoured with a little bit of vanilla. And again, we're going to spread all the way over that quite generously. At this point, the tricky bit to turn them over so they meet. So we've now got our sponge sandwiched with jam and cream. We're going to totally enrobe this with sugar paste, so we'll get the messy little bit done. In order to make the sugar paste stick, we'll enrobe with cream very thinly. It's best not to use jam because the sugar paste will slide a little bit if you've got cream on. It'll be a little bit more forgiving. Now we're going to go around the edges as well. Always a little bit messy. Always when you're doing a sponge cake, it's best just to try not to get too much crumb, because we don't want to get it into the sugar paste. Makes it look a little bit ugly, a bit like the person who's making it. Okay, it doesn't have to be too pretty, and we'll sit it in the middle of our board. We're now going to do another finish on the little square cake. Quick and easy finish, same again, piece of pink sponge, piece of yellow sponge. So the jam, we're going to spread over the yellow. Get a nice contrast then of yellow and red. Red on pink, not quite so good. Not that I'm an interior designer or anything, but there we are. Nice bit of jam on the yellow sponge. Quite a nice bit of cream on this because this one is going to be for a child, so we'll make it a little bit sweeter. The buttercream is just a standard buttercream you can get from anywhere. Any recipe will do this, but I put a bit of vanilla essence in this just to give it a little bit of flavour. So we're going to flop that one over onto there and slide it to one side. Brush away all the crumbs. We don't want crumbs in our sugar paste. And a quick wash of the hands. So now we come to coating the cake, and we've got a little bit of sugar paste. Some people call it fondant icing. Just bought from the supermarket. And I've softened it up a little bit, and a little bit of icing sugar on the table. Whenever you're rolling this stuff out, always use a good rolling pin which someone hasn't used to break a lobster claw open or knock a nail in with, because any imperfections in the pin will come out on the paste. So we're going to roll this out now, trying to keep it nice and round. I did measure the cake and I know roughly what size I've got to roll this out. So we'll keep it moving, not too much icing sugar on the table, and even less on the top. Try to make it as round as possible, because if you roll it out like a map of Ireland, it's really going to be difficult to get it around the cake. So as a rough measurement for the cake, it's about just short of the width of this rolling pin. The sugar paste will stretch a little bit when you pick it up. But we're not far out, so this is where it could all go wrong. Pick the sugar paste up on the rolling pin. I like to work towards myself so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll lay it on the side. Should be touching. And enrobe the cake. We're then just going to smooth the top. The beauty of this stuff is that it's really quite forgiving, and you can go around and just smooth it down. You don't need all the fancy equipment. You can get little flat irons which will smooth this over. But today we're going to do it with minimum equipment, and that's nicely stuck to the cake. Just going to trim the excess off. It's slightly bigger than the cake. Because we've done it nice and cleanly without getting any crumb in the sugar paste, we can use that again. And now tuck a little bit of excess in. This will take the place of any expensive iron that you might want to buy from a local cake shop. It's just a piece of wood, nice and flat, which I'm just going to tap the side of the cake. There we are, it's nice and clean. And we just brush off any excess icing sugar. So we are going to do a little bit of decoration on it, but these are little crimpers, and they do quite a nice job. It won't show up when I'm actually doing it, but when I've decorated it, we'll accentuate it a little bit. So we're just going to go around the cake with the crimper, right on the side, trying to keep them an even distance apart. I'm not using a turntable today, but it really doesn't matter with this job. Go all the way around the cake, trying to keep even spacing. Just using my left hand as a guide. Okay, and we've just prettied it up a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to put this to one side while I get the other cake ready. A little bit of sugar paste now for the top of this cake. It comes out of the packet quite hard, but if you just put a bit of weight on it and work it for a couple of minutes, it makes it nice and soft. Again, you'll need a little bit of icing sugar to stop it sticking to the table, but not too much. On my measuring stick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the cake is 8-inch square. That'll give me a rough idea on how big to roll the sugar paste. Again, a nice clean pin. Time we'll roll it reasonably square, get a measurement done, yep, and that's plenty. because we don't like waste, I'm now going to put some cream on the top of the cake. Make the sugar paste stick. The bit that makes your heart stop, we're just going to flick it over and drop it on the cake. Here's my brush. And we'll just trim off the excess nice and square. A little bit of crumb on that. Get the majority of the crumb off that, you should be able to use this again. So the cake's now coated on top. And this cake is for a child, so I've got some little chocolate sprinkles or vermicelli. Available from most supermarkets. And we'll now flip this back over. Nice clean top. And we'll get some cream on the sides. Oops, not on the table. This is a traditional way of doing this that I was taught when I was learning my trade many years ago, and back in the day we'd do about 20 or 30 of these a week. The sides of the cake are now coated in cream. The only reason for that is to make the sprinkles stick. Now we simply hold it over the plate and pat them on, hoping that we've got enough to go all the way around. I think a square cake is always a little bit better for a child's party because it's much easier to cut and portion if they want to take it home in a little goodie bag. Okay, so that's the side of the cake covered and the top in sugar paste. And for ease of work, I'm just going to drop it on this board. And now we'll get ready for the decoration. So we've made up some royal icing. I've just coloured it pink because the cakes are going to be for girls. And I'm just going to shell around the edge to tidy it up, which is a little bit boring to watch, but I like to keep cakes clean and simple. Don't like too much heavy decoration on them. That's what I tell people, because really I'm lazy. We're just shelling around the join at the bottom. Try to keep all your shells the same size. Every shell should be piped individually. You don't want them looking like waves. You can see now why the join at the bottom wasn't really that important, because these shells are going to cover it up. Okay, so we've just shelled around the bottom there. The little crimps we did earlier, they look attractive, but they don't really stand out. So with a number 2 tube, I'm just going to spot my way around them, and it'll just lift the cake makes a whole world of difference, just a little spot of icing. And the crimps give you a nice guide. Okay, so that accentuates the crimps. While I've got the icing in the bag, I'm just going to go around the square cake that we did earlier. Again, I come right up to the edge, do all of your shells separately, start just off the tail of the one in front. Don't try to come up and overhang the cake, because if you never need to transport these and put them in a box, you're going to damage the shells. So just try to keep in from the edge of the cake. If the camera can pick it up, you'll see just a little white stripe around the edge. Okay, so that's both cakes covered up. Now they just need the names put on them. Piping directly onto the cake is always a bit of a tricky business, especially when you're getting to my age and your eyes are going and you didn't bring your reading glasses with you. So we'll just give it a go. The trick is not to try and do straight lines. If you're not used to doing this, straight lines can always go wrong. Pick yourself a font or a style that doesn't have any straight lines in it, and it looks a lot better, which I'll try to demonstrate now. So we're going to go. Okay, that's a simple happy birthday, and we can put the name on at any time. This one's very similar. Okay, here we go. It's quite difficult to talk while I'm doing this, so you'll have to excuse me. If you're doing this and you start to go a little bit snowblind, it's best just to put the tube down, keep the end covered with a damp towel, and just refocus your eyes before you go back and do a bit more. Okay, there we go. Simple birthday cake. Doesn't take too long at all.